Thank you for everyone for coming. Thank you for the NSCA for allowing me to speak. It's truly humbling to be speaking to people that I personally look up to. Trying to provide you guys something, a little bit of insight into what's going on in my mind is a very humbling experience, I guess you would say. I've learned 3 things so far by being at this conference is I thought it'd be cool to have walkout music. It's obviously not going to happen. Do not ask for group involvement at all, and don't expect anyone to laugh at your jokes. So I'm going to have a couple slides that are probably going to bomb really bad, but that's cool. Staying relevant and impactful with youth athletes. To me, I work a lot with military veterans through a program that we have. Youth athletes, I work a tremendous amount, especially after school hours. I love impacting youth athletes, especially female volleyball players. Male football players probably makes up the biggest percentage of people that I work with. Everything is going to stem around this right here. Be the coach that you needed. I think it's such a simple concept and something that we overlook so much. It's really quite that simple when we try to figure out what our youth athletes are going through on a day-to-day basis, what's going on in their life. Just remember what you needed. Not all of us had this great mentor and this great coach, so it's be the coach that you needed. Be the person you needed when you were 16. Oh. Why? Why am I doing this presentation? To me, high school athletes don't need more fans. They need more coaches and mentors to tell them the truth and hold them accountable. It really comes that simple. This is me, lost. Laughs, perfect. 16 years old, I had no positive mentor. My parents got divorced when I was young. I didn't have someone to look out for me, show me goals, show me what it was like to be a man. I just kind of learned it on my own. I'm still learning it. I'm still kind of lost and confused trying to find my way. But literally what it stems down to is when people ask me, I go like on podcasts or I talk to other coaches and they say, who is this great coach that you knew or who changed your life? And I don't have that. I don't have that person. So it's more of me modeling what I didn't have and what I want and the negative things that I did learn because I didn't have someone to reach down and pull my hand up when I was on the ground. Most kids want a line, they crave it. I think this is something people try to say to me as well as, my kids like me too much, or maybe I'm not as demanding. I'm very demanding. I give them a line and they know where it sets. Every now and then they'll step their toe across that line and they'll pull it back over. But they got to test that line and it's for me to check that line when it goes. So give them a line, hold them accountable. Most kids need that. I think when it comes to the why, it's this big, there's a book on it, of course, and every motivational video out there, but it's the other questions. When you are figuring out what you want to do and who you want to work with, it's the who. It's who do you want to work with? Who do you want to help? What are you going to do to help those people? The when, is there a timeline on that? Is it something that's monthly? Is it daily time that you have to sit aside? And how are you going to do it? A good coach can change a game. A great coach can change a life. It's not just coaching. It's literally we're in a position that we can change someone's life. Back to the basics. To me, when we talk about basics, it's the bench, the squat, the deadlift. To me, it's all back to communication. How do we communicate? One of my friends told me this quote, and it was, there are a lot of people that can train a soldier for war, but do the soldiers want to go to war with their instructors? I'm not trying to compare the two, but that's what it is. Do your kids look up to you? Do they want to be like you? Do they want to emulate the qualities that you put out? We put such emphasis on communication throughout the lifespan of a child, whether it's an infant, the first words, how they communicate is, it's such a pressure. When my son, he didn't speak right away, so it's how is he communicating when he's hungry, when he's thirsty. It's such an emphasis on that. We'd go to the doctor and they'd be like, how many words does he know? Like, 4. And they're like, he's supposed to know 20. Like, oh, that sucks. But it's constantly reinforcing these things and trying to teach them. As well with that, we're infatuated with like animals. How do animals communicate? There's tons of videos of whales underwater and the sounds they make. Aliens, every alien movie out there is how do we communicate with them? Is it through sign language? Is it through a mutual barrier of language? Is it lights? Everything. But it's the one thing we don't talk about. We don't teach people how to communicate. We don't show them ways that they communicate. We don't evaluate communication, but we expect any young coach to step in front of 10 to 20 a team and just perform. and then get upset at them when they don't get their point across or the training session doesn't go as well as planned. When truth be told, we didn't equip them with the tools to be necessary to accomplish the job. As a coach, we have the ultimate platform, and this is going to be kind of punny, I guess, to learn to communicate, to teach how to communicate on the platforms across any platform of their life. You should use it. If you're not using it to do something greater than in the weight room, then you're just missing out on a great opportunity. All right, I need to slow down for a second. I'm going really fast. To be quite honest, this is the first time I've ever presented in front of a group. We host TSACs at my gym, and first time I presented ever in front of a group, I said, okay, if anyone's at my eye level, I'm like, this is easy. I can communicate, I can coach. The second people sit down, it just shuts me down. So I had this great idea. I was like, I'm going to make everyone stand up, and this is going to go perfect. So I was like, everyone stand up. Everyone stood up, and there was a dude in the wheelchair right in front of me. And I just went, oh my God. Everyone looked at me, they looked at him. Afterwards, we had a funny conversation about it. It's a good story, but that was quite the moment. Now, back on pace. I feel I still have the same feeling today. Now, even 2000 seems like it was 10 years ago. It wasn't. It was 20 years ago. Outkast was dropping bombs over Baghdad 20 years ago. But it's crazy. We think that it was 10 years ago. It's not. We still, to this day, say kids have changed. Times are different. But kids are soft. Kids are lazy. They're not dedicated. When really, it's just how times are now. Do you use your position to express admirable qualities, values, and expectations? Do you use your position to effectively get across your point? You can't play all of your games on your home field. No different than sport. You need to be able to visit them on their turf, talk to them, embrace them out of the gym, learn what's going on in their life, play the visitor. Kids have not changed. The environment around them has. They, like everything eventually in nature, have adapted equivalently. I think that's something we miss. We say how different kids are. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. No different than music, no different than science, no different than cars. They've adapted with the times. They've adapted to what we have said is acceptable in society. So if you want to change that, then you need to get a point across your points, your trials and tribulations. If you're not sharing what you went through, how do you expect them to be anything different than what they are right now? Because all they are is what is normal. Perspective. A good friend of mine, Ben Hilgert, went over to Virginia Tech to visit, to hang out, and I have a bunch of ahas and moments as a coach. I'm a young coach myself, but he said something and just kind of hit me hard. He said, athletes are not weightlifters. They're athletes. They want to athlete. They don't want to lift weights. You have to convince them that weightlifting is important, that what it does. What do you get from weightlifting? So I like to look at it now as strength training is just a vessel of transportation. Strength on the platform translates across every process of life. You can make them strong in the weight room with a bar in their hands, and that strength can make them strong with a pencil in their hands, with a notebook in their hands, with a textbook in their hands, with a scalpel in their hands. That strength and that confidence they get from a platform, from a comfortable environment that they can be uncomfortable in. It translates everywhere: playing field, classroom, the dance floor. A big thing with my daughter is her confidence is so high, she'll go to her middle school dance as a sixth grader, terrible dance moves, which she gets from me. And she'll go out there and just dance. And I was like, you danced in front of everyone? And she was like, yeah, Dad, and it was awesome. And I was like, did anyone dance with you? She was like, nope. And I was like, that's awesome. The whole purpose of coaching is to facilitate the movement of a young athlete from a kid to an adult. What are we coaching for? I'm going to reference my kids a lot and experiences I have, but I was in my daughter's travel softball tournament, and the parents, she plays 11U softball, by the way, and the parents were talking about recruiting and college, and I was just like, what in the world are we talking about? So I stopped them all, and I was like, look around. 95% of these kids probably will not play in college, and I can almost guarantee no one will play professional softball here. So why are they playing? It's to learn the valuable lessons of life. teamwork, how to lose, how to fail, how to be on the spotlight at home plate and strike out looking and not swing. And then when everyone's yelling at them, do they look at you? Is the first thing they do? Do they look at the parent and go, oh my God, is my dad going to freak out on me? Do they look for you for approval, or are they confident enough they just go back to the dugout and know to get them better next time? How are we raising our kids? Are we raising them to say, oh, I need to look at my dad and see what his approval is? No, you should be teaching them to be confident in their own skin. Encourage confidence through exploration. Another moment I had as a coach is I used to be, of course, when you graduate college, you're very fixated on what you learned in college and what you learned from other coaches. And I was very close-ended with my exercises and my thought process. I didn't move outside of the box at all. Not that I move outside of the box now. My box is just a little bit bigger. I feel a little bit more comfortable exploring inside the box. But what do we do? Do we let them? So I didn't let them explore new ranges of motion. I didn't work in different planes of movement. I was this is a plan, this is a workout, and I stuck to it. I didn't get away from it. And I kind of drew a conclusion with my daughter one day, and I had a talk with another dad about this, and he said, he was talking about his daughter, and he put like a hashtag, never dating, and I just called him, and I was like, dude, that's a terrible thought process. My daughter is going to go on dates as much as I don't like it. She's going to get her heart broken as much as I don't like it. She's probably going to get married. So what is she going to fall back on? What I taught her. So in the weight room, what you're teaching them, it's not just cues, it's life lessons is what I like to look at. Of course, a cue, keep your back up, control your knees, all the posture elements, talking about working out, but giving them the cues that they will take with them throughout their life. Because when the puck drops, when the tip-off goes up, or when that doorbell rings and that first boyfriend shows at my door, my daughter and my athletes are not going to do what I want them to do. They're going to do what I prepared them for. Big thing here, I see a lot of coaches trying to take credit for what athletes do. Maybe I'm missing off, and hopefully no one walks out. But truth be told, athletes can athlete without a coach. We cannot coach without an athlete. So understanding that we need them just as much as they need us. We need them. We're not better than them. We need them. What is their scoreboard? I think this is a big thing with knowing their goals. I try to evaluate and find out what their scoreboard with everyone, what's their finish line, and where are their flanks that they're able to stay in between. What is an acceptable range and tolerance for them to fail and then come back in? I use this, I don't know why I keep looking there, it's right there. But I use this timeline for a lot of my kids. I give them a sheet of paper that's 5 years from now. Then they go home, they fill it out, they think about it, they come home the next day, and I give them a 1 year from now. And then I give them another sheet of paper, and it's this month. It's just to get them to thinking. Most kids know what their goals are, they just don't know how to get there. They are not comfortable sitting down with someone and talking about how to get there. I myself didn't have goals. This is huge for me. We don't dream. Dreams are something that we don't understand how they occur, when they occur, why they occur. We can't replicate them. We don't dream. None of my kids use the word dream. I don't like it. Dream's something that we don't understand. Goals are something we understand. It's tangible, and we can put a timeline on it. So we set goals. We don't dream. Create a purpose greater than a goal. With my football team that I work with, probably extremely talented young men, very respectful, great group of kids. And they were kind of losing, what they were training for. And I had this aha moment. I was like, kids know their goals. They have a case of the tomorrows. They're okay with doing something tomorrow. They're okay with, if I didn't accomplish it today, I'll just get it tomorrow. The case of the tomorrows, which is completely normal. It's what we've allowed to happen. But how do we address that? So I had all of them. I came to the session one day, and I just had ballpoint pens, and I had everyone on their hand, and I still do it to this day, and they wrote, what is their goal, or who are they doing it for? And we wrote it on our hands like that. Very small gesture, but you don't really think about it until you write it on your hand, and you constantly see it. Because as a human being, we are not, we will let ourselves down, but we will not let someone else down. Especially kids. When the second you assign something greater to their goal, their mother, their father, God, whatever you want, they're not okay with letting that person down. So guiding them to their goals, letting them know how to get there, and then giving them some way to keep them there. Be the coach that you needed. it all comes back to this. Communication is the ultimate basic. Kids haven't changed, times have. They've adapted accordingly. Guide them towards their goals, not dreams. Know their scoreboard and their home field advantage. Interaction and activity, frequency. How often do you interact with them? Is it something consistent? Is it only on the playing field? Is it only in the gym? Are you interacting with them offline? Perceived importance. Do they think that the stuff that you're talking about and that you truly care about what they got going on in their life? The content, is it strictly weight room based? Is it strictly, does your content begin and end with exercises? Does your communication begin and end with exercises? Or does it go past that? The outcome. Do they think that they're going to get something from the communication? Time. To me, this is one of the most valuable things. When it comes around to like Christmas and stuff like that, I try to not give people possessions, but things that, of course, remind me of them, from my closer family. Giving my time, visiting people, to me, that's more valuable. A good friend of mine, George Carvajal, one time, the first time we talked, he did not have to talk to me. He has no clue who I am. And afterwards, at the end, we were getting off the phone, and I said, man, I cannot thank you enough. You don't even know who I am. No one told you to call me. I'm extremely grateful. And he said, time is never wasted when it's spent helping others. And I was just like, bam, there it is. Time is never wasted when it's spent helping others. It's a great way to spend it. Athlete-coach relationship. How do we interact? You see it all the time with coaches, and I don't think there's a right or wrong. There's a more effective per individuals. Is your communication method, you see them on the court and on the platforms and on the field interacting, is it very positive? Are there verbal and nonverbal cues that are happy? Are people laughing? Are people, kidding? Are they joking? You see the coach come over and they kind of like hit them. Is it a very positive verbal, nonverbal communication of their relationship? Intentional communication outside of training. Do they know what's going on in their life? Do you know if they have a boyfriend or girlfriend? I know these are more towards private sector, collegiate athletics. It's a lot more individuals to deal with, so it's a little bit harder. But then do they know that you're committed to what they got going on? Are you committed to not just them, but their program? Negative, I didn't want to put the word negative, but after I put positive, I obviously didn't know what else to put besides negative. But that's not a bad thing. Is it just solely tactical? Is it solely about the job? Is it solely based off what's going on and nothing extra? And then we go positive week, negative week. Genuinely care, don't overcomplicate it. So simple. When people ask me, what do I think it makes be a great coach? For one, I don't know, because I am a learning coach myself. But don't overcomplicate it. Collect information. No information is too small. Ask them questions, find out what's going on. Negotiate consensus. I think this is a huge thing that I've had with gaining trust with my athletes, is when we talk about things, I'll ask them, I'll be like, hey, what movements do you think work for you? What movements do you think, and I'll even poke jabs in it, and I'll say, I don't care what you say, I'm going to do what I want, but it's nice to know that you think that you can contribute, and they'll laugh off, but I'll take those notes into consideration. But letting them be involved in their program and what's going on, what works for them. Let it know that it's a two-way street. I can't remember if I put it in another whatever, but I don't do buy-in. I don't do buy-in. I don't like buy-in. I like trust. Buy-in is a one-way street. It's from an athlete buying into a program, an athlete buying into a coach. I've never heard a coach say, I'm bought into that athlete, ever. I've never heard it. So why? I just don't like it. Trust is a two-way street. No one likes driving in one-way streets, so I just don't like one-way streets. Two-way streets. We build trust. We don't build buy-in. Reassuring. Do they know that the stuff that you're talking about, or reassuring, letting them know that when they don't succeed, things that they can fix. This is not patting them on the butt and letting them know everything's okay. It's telling them, with positive influence, things that they can do better. Doing favors. I think this is a huge one. When you go into a weight room and you see a coach and they're interacting with a kid, and I've been in weight rooms where this doesn't happen, and the coach would be like, hey, can you go grab that bar, or can you go do this? And the kid just goes, oh, God. Or they go, gotcha, coach, and they go. But that goes with you doing the same thing. If one of my athletes, they're doing something, and be like, coach, give me my water. I'm like, yeah, bud. And I just toss it to them, just like that. We have the same relationship. I don't feel any lower by helping them, by coming down, not down to them, but being there for them. Because I know if I do that small gesture, hey coach, can you give me water? Boom. Can you take off that weight? Sure, man, I'll take the side off. Boom. That they're going to recognize that, and they're going to be able to do the same thing when I ask for it. Expressing care and trust. Sharing stories. This goes back to what I was talking about earlier. If we want them to be with the society that we want, that we grew up in, you need to be able to tell them what we've been through. They need to be able to trust what you're saying. Sharing. What I've experienced with kids is when I tell a kid that I bombed out of a class, when I couldn't get a date to prom, when girls were breaking up with me left and right, they love that because they're like, oh my God, this guy can relate to me. I'm like, dude, I'm a loser. Like I don't know how I'm here where I'm at right now, to be quite honest with you. I've just kind of figured my way through. Become a part of their life, not just a time slot. Don't be a 6 p.m. or a 7 p.m. Be a part of their life that they talk to, that they communicate, that they text. I hate it when, I don't want to use the word hate, my wife will kill me, but when my kids get a new boyfriend or girlfriend and they don't tell me, I'm just like, man, what am I missing? Why do I not have that relationship with them what they should tell me? I shouldn't have to find out from someone else. Be the coach that you needed. It all comes back to this. We all know what it was like. Remember what it was like. Communication confusion. Many people communicate to impress, not to express. This is a big thing, especially with coaches, it seems, where everything they say, the first thing they say is who I've worked with, what I've done, what school I'm working with now. And don't try to impress everyone. Kids don't care who you worked with, for the most part. Some of them do. Express yourself. Use correct words. Get your point across. Listen with your ears, not your eyes. I do not know how accurate this statement is, but I read online, Google said it, so it's true, that we can listen to, or we can say 120 words per minute, but we can mentally process 500. So what do we do with that leftover time? Do we use it picking up nonverbal cues? Do we listen with our eyes? Do you listen with your eyes when people talk to you? My wife will kill me, but when she's talking to me sometimes, something I've worked on is putting down my phone. The second someone says something to me, I put it down and I look at them. I put it down and I look at them. I listen with my eyes. You pick up everything else. You pick up the whole story. Thing we say is, why don't kids understand? Why didn't they do what I said? When you tell a kid a play in football, I told you to run between this gap. Why didn't you do it? Why didn't I told you to go rack the weights? Why'd you put the 45s there? Maybe it's not the fact that they're not listening. Maybe it's the fact that we don't know how to communicate best to them. So remember, it is a two-way street. It's not always them. It's maybe the fault is on us. Maybe we've just learned how to not communicate well. Like maybe it's not some athletes that know how to listen, but that we don't know how to convey the message. The last one, eye level. I know it's not associated so much to high school and collegiate athletes, but with younger kids, whenever I talk to a kid, I go down on a knee. Every time. Whenever I talk to my daughter, my son, and it's something serious, or I meet a new kid for the first time, I always go down on a knee because I put my eyes right at theirs. That second, they know that we're equal, that we're comfortable to communicate. It's been huge for me, and whenever I talk to a kid, like, how do you relate to kids so well, especially young kids? Because I know what it's like to not have someone to relate to. I know what it's like to not have a positive male influence. Words have meaning, meaning has influence, and influence is proportional to human performance. If you think communication in words is too small for you to worry about, then maybe, if motivating and communicating is under what you are, then maybe coaching is above you. Stress, it's all relative. The bucket, I think it's huge. Kids have so much stress on them, and we extremely overlook it. If you're not programming for finals week, programming for winter break, you're missing. You're missing big time. There's so much stress that's under them. Understand that the stress that they experience from breaking up with their boyfriend or girlfriend is equivalent for you losing your job. Like, oh my God, get over it. Would you get over losing your job? Heck no, you wouldn't. It's going to affect you. It's going to affect them because at that point in their life, it is the most critical thing that's happened. So understand that. School decisions. I think it's funny when I go to high school, I work a lot with high school athletics. When I go to high school graduation parties, I was at one high school graduation party specifically, and 17 times a kid got asked where they were going to college and what they were doing. If you asked me 10 years ago what I'd be doing, it would not be this. I was the guy that avoided the weight room in college, and all my friends still hit me up about it, in high school. I did not work out. I think I worked out 2 times. I would fake injuries to go sit in the trainer's room and ice my ankle. I was intimidated, I was scared, and I'm not afraid to admit it. Relationships, we talked about college, big decisions that's going on in their life. The bucket, we have every kid, whether it's school, a girlfriend, family, a family lineage of things they got going on. There's all these hoses in a bucket. We need to be giving kids something to do to handle that stress so we can poke holes in that bucket. Eventually that bucket will overfill. It's going to happen. But then we're trying to prolong it as much as possible. Poke as many holes. Give them outlets to get rid of their stress, to talk about it. Remember what it was like to be 17. I mean, it's really that simple. We forget about it because it was so long ago, but do not forget what it was like to be 17. Sweat the small things. Nothing is too small for me. Nothing. I hate the word good. I ask my daughter every day when I pick her up from school, hey, how was school? Good. And after like 2 weeks of it, I was like, I just can't take it anymore. And I was like, you cannot use the word good anymore. None of my athletes are allowed to use the word good. Because if you ask any athlete, hey, how'd you do today? Good. How do you feel? Good. I hate the word good. Good kills communications. Good kills communication more than anything else. It just shuts it down. So now I ask questions that I can get answers for. Hey, who'd you have lunch with today? I mean, who'd you have lunch with today? What'd you do after school? What was something funny you heard today? Did you meet a new friend? For my older athletes, what classes did you have today? Open up dialogue. It's really that simple. Kids don't want to tell you what's going on, but they will. Kids are evil, devious geniuses, and what you think is going on and what you think is their strongest compliment, their strongest thing they got going for them, is often the chink to their armor that's the biggest thing that's their weakness that they cover up. Dig underneath that. The details matter. I guess a good example, I try to think of a good one would be, I'm going to relate to go back to my kids a lot, but if I ask one of my kids, what did you eat today? And they're like, oh, I didn't eat. And I'm like, well, why did you not eat? I could easily stop there and be like, come on, man, you got to eat. You got to eat. Come on, girl, whatever. You got to eat. And she goes, no, I didn't eat. So then I ask another question. I go, well, why did you not eat? Well, I lost my money. Like, why'd you lose your money? You can't get like a credit in the lunchroom kind of deal? And like, well, I wasn't in the lunchroom. I was at the vending machine. Like, why were you at the vending machine? Why didn't you just go to the lunchroom to get lunch like a normal, kid? And they're like, well, I don't really have any friends. Bam, I found out their problem just by asking more questions. The better questions we ask, the better answers we get. Follow those breadcrumbs. Kids will drop them. They're constantly dropping, waiting to see if you're going to pick up on them. If you choose to pick up on them, you don't have, that's not something we get paid extra for. That's going the extra mile. But you truly can change someone's life. And what this is about, it's about impacting kids, changing their lives, being that pivotal point in their life. Show interest in what they got going on. Readiness log. A good friend of mine, John Garish, dropped a quote that said, if you're not assessing, you're guessing. I don't know the context in which he said it, but I'm pretty sure it comes to programming and numbers and strength, and that's awesome. I use it for this. I'm very lucky to be where I'm at. We have heart rate monitors, we have an omega wave. I can know what's going on inside someone's body, but there's something special about subjective information, about dialogue. I send this to my kids every Monday, sometimes Wednesday if it's a busy year, and it just opens up dialogue. And I choose when to intervene with information. So I'll just send it out in a big group message, and they'll reply back with numbers. 4, 3, 2, 1, 5. Boom. If I see something really low, I'll text them and be like, yo, what the heck's going on? Sometimes, maybe I'll let it slide for a couple times, and I'll send it to them privately, like on a Friday or something, and just see if I see a trend. Of course, this goes with trust. Do they know that you're going to change their workout? I express to them, I'm not going to change your workout based off this. This just opens up dialogue for our communication so I can find out further what's going on. When does evaluation start? Evaluation starts the second they walk in the door. Sometimes I have windows at my gym that they can walk down and I can pick them up as they walk window to window. Are they walking in with their shoes untied? Are they walking in eating? Are they walking in with pajamas on or different workout clothes than they normally work out? Kids show you everything. I don't know why we don't capitalize on that. We're not around in their warm-up. The warm-up is the most important part of a workout. It lets you know what to focus on. It lets you know what's going to happen during that session. Don't be so rigid and dialed into your workout program that you're afraid to change it because of what they got going on, because you don't want to change it. Every day is different. It's a little bit different in high school setting, collegiate setting. Everything's, I guess, standard and structured. Be the coach that you needed. It always comes back to this statement no matter what. Coaching is an art based on a science. I put out a while ago on Twitter, and that's honestly the only reason I'm probably presenting at this thing, because no one knows who I am. But I said something about coaching and art or something, and Ryan Horn said, coaching is an art based on a science. And I found this cool picture, and I was like, oh, this would be a great slide. But it all goes, it's this art of communication, but we can't forget about the science. I always get asked, I've become a better reader this year. That's been my goal, to read more. I've never been a reader in my entire life. I grew up in a very low-income area. We didn't have big thoughts of what we were going to become in our life. We didn't read books. We didn't do any of that stuff. So I've tried to adapt more of that philosophy. And they always ask, what's one book you'll recommend? And I always say a netter. Always have something to fall back on. If you don't understand science and physiology, don't be trying to read the newest communication leadership book. You need to have something to fall back on, to feel safe, to have some sort of backing. Science is always first. Empower yourself with it. Paint a picture with your words. This goes back to that don't impress, but express yourself. I think oftentimes coaches are so afraid of what they sound like or communicating in a group that they just drop it quick. Hey, we're going to do this, and then they step back. Or they're saying something and they're looking what other coaches are doing in the room. I kept seeing it with a couple of my coaches, so I looked it up. It's called cognitive dissonance, when you give cues and you're constantly worried about what's going on in the rest of the room. With our words, are we quick and cold? It gets the point across. There's nothing wrong with that. Or are we colorful and confusing? Are we overcoaching? Are we trying to impress them with what we know and these fancy cues and this and that? What I've learned about cues is the simpler I can get, the better. I had one kid, I could not get him to hold a freaking plank for like a 2-week period the way I wanted to. I mean, the 10 and 10, rib cage, blah, blah, all this and that. And then one day he just looks at me and goes, like a turtle shell? And I was like, are you kidding me? And he was like, yeah, like a turtle shell. And he did it, and it was perfect. From that point on, I say turtle shell to everyone, and they instantly get it. That's simple. People, not programs. This is the way I like to look at my athletes. Sculpting is like programs. It's what we can take away to be effective. They have so much stuff going on. What can I take away to become effective? People, happy trees. The more trees I can put on you, the happier you'll be. It's really that simple. Educate them. I try to overly educate everyone I talk to when it comes to young athletes. I empower them with knowledge, because when they see an adult that's full of crap, I want to be able to call them out. I think it's awesome, because too many people are pushing out bad stuff. I had one of my kids one time sent me a picture of a girl he was trying to date, and she was on the beach, and it was a picture of her on the beach, and I was just like, okay. And then it was the next picture, and it was like zoomed in on her knees. And then the next picture was like super zoomed. And he was like, Coach, I can't date her. Look at those knees. I can't be having my kids with that valgus knee pattern. And I died laughing. And I was like, dude, that is amazing. But it's empower them with education. Empower them with that. Don't take your responsibility lightly. Understand that we are not just coaches. We're not just making better athletes. We're making better men and women, dads and moms, and future coaches. It's not just sports. It's the next generation. It's our lifetime. It's our future. We hold that. If you don't take that into consideration in programming, if you're not empowering them with strength, not just on the platform, but throughout life, you're just missing a big opportunity, which they have to be there with you for. Be the coach that you needed. It always comes back to this. Don't ever forget it. When you walk through the door, I'll write it on my hand. I'll write it on my door. I had it on my phone for a while because I would lose perspective. Don't ever lose this perspective. We can get lost with what's going on. We can get lost with worrying about who knows our name, worrying about, in this conference, who's talking to me. I could care less if anyone talks to me, because I had this moment where I stopped worrying about who knew my name, and I worried about the O's that already knew it. The second I shifted all my focus to that, I became a much better person. I was much happier, much more fulfilled. Social media. I'm not going to talk too much about this. We can get way into this. But to be honest, Twitter has become something that I can use to communicate with many coaches, which is awesome. But the only reason I have Twitter is Bishop Sullivan football. Because the kids kept coming up and saying, hey, did you see my offer? Did you see this? I'm like, no. And they're like, Coach, Twitter. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I started using it that way. Then I would post videos for kids that I would work with, like in Richmond, that I couldn't see on a daily basis. And they were like, oh, can you post that so I can send it out to my other basketball? Sure. That's what I used it for. Snapchat. I use Snapchat for my volleyball athletes. Do some coaches use it? I'm not telling anyone to use those social media if you don't want to. But that's how they communicate. Their phone is constantly blown up with group text messages that if I send them a text message, they won't respond for like an hour or two. If I send them a Snapchat message, they'll respond back to me in 5 minutes, just like that. It's so simple, whether you choose to use it or not. I understand some coaches at the higher level don't need to. Me in a private setting, I use it. Texting is old school to many of them. Relate through their mediums, streaks, tags, and GIFs. Oh my. We always do it for the gram. We always joke, but that's what it's for. Kids care about that. I'll post videos on Instagram. They're like, why'd you post that video? Blah, blah. Because my kid walked in that day and said, what are we doing, coach? And I tell them, like, can you get a video of that and post it so I can repost it and share it? Sure. I don't care. But it becomes a competition. I'm like, as long as your form doesn't look like crap. And they're like, boom, got it. They're dialed in. They're zoomed in. Weight room of an adapting profession. This is something that many people might disagree with me, I guess, but let the music flow. It doesn't have to be music that they like. It doesn't have to be music that you like, but music needs to be going. Do you work out in the quiet? I've been in weight rooms where they play jazz music. I've been in weight rooms where they play rock, where they play rap, reggae. Who cares? But as long as it doesn't become a distraction and people aren't dancing around in the weight racks, then let music flow. There needs to be energy. Phoneless time. My daughter recently got a phone. That was a huge mistake, but I got overruled, of course. But phoneless time is invaluable. Kids spend so much time on their phones. It's constant. It's every time I look at my daughter, it's this or an Instagram story. I'm like, Jesus Christ, just get off Instagram. But they're so obsessed with their phones. And what do we have in the weight room? Phoneless for an hour at least, sometimes an hour and a half. If you're not capitalized on teaching them how to communicate, because most of them don't know how to communicate without their phone, you are missing out on a great opportunity to change their life, because all they know is this. All they know is communicating on that phone. Capitalize on the phoneless time. Capitalize on it. Energy. I'll say all the time, any weight room I walk into, I'll never be the biggest, I'll never be the strongest, I'll never be the most educated or most experienced, but you'll never have to wonder if I'm there. That doesn't mean I'm hoorahing with my cheerleaders and pom-poms and patting everyone on the butt, but I'm engaged, I'm constant. My kids know what to expect, no matter how I feel, and this is a big thing with my coaches. Like one of my kids one time said, how are you always on? Because I have to be, because that's what's expected of me. And if you're not doing that as a coach, if you're bringing your baggage into work or bringing your baggage home, that's a you problem, and you need to figure it out and how to fix it. You leave it at the door. Everyone is equal in the weight room when it comes to captains and leadership and followership. The traits that we want to have in the weight room, working hard, dedication, being on time, cleaning up, those I guess concepts are things that you establish and that you make important, and then you reward and say how good someone's doing. There's no talent that happens in the weight room. It's things that you say are important. So when people are performing, you can encourage people to do those things. It's another great opportunity to impact someone's life. Girls versus boys. Every boy lifts weights pretty much if they play high school sports. It's just a given. Girls, about 90% probably of my athletic population is female volleyball players. And it is, if I could only train female volleyball players, I still like training football players, don't get me wrong. But I love training female volleyball players. The second you empower them that they can do something a boy can do, it is infectious. They become so confident. I've had parents come up to me and be like, it's kind of borderline cocky. And I'm like, it's borderline awesome. I want that girl to be so powerful and confident that she can walk into any interview, any situation, and be willing to stand up for herself. We can do that in the weight room. You can make someone strong on the outside and the inside. Confidence impacts every part of their life. When sometimes I do pull-ups with almost every female athlete that comes through the weight room for one reason: confidence. As a boy, if I ever deadlift 500, which I probably won't, I'll never forget it. I do understand as a female how important doing a pull-up is and how cool it is, just for the confidence alone. So we always do pull-ups, whether we do 6 or 8 a week, just a couple of eccentrics, some iso holds, whatever it is. The confidence that is built from a pull-up, I think is bar none. There's nothing better. When I tell them to get up on the floor, wait, pull-up? I can't do a pull-up. I know. Let's do eccentric. Let's do this. Like, okay, I can do that. That confidence is crazy. Jerks. The second you have a girl go from a front rack to a full jerk, their eyes just get huge. Like, oh my God, I just did that. It's crazy. If you're not empowering and building confidence through the weight room, you're missing out big time. I like a weight room that's talking. I like a weight room that's moving, that has energy, that's flowing. I've been in weight rooms where they don't want that, and everyone's quiet, and it is miserable. It is terrible. We demand on the field, on the court, it's, hey, you go here, we want everyone talking. We want everyone talking in practice. And then they get in the weight room and we shut it down. Let them communicate. If they're not distracting, let them communicate. Let them get their voice. Let them become a leader on the platform. Let them become a follower. Let them be able to accept what's going on from their other teammates. Be honest. Keith Scruggs, I can't remember in what context he put it out, but he put it out as glass house motivation. And I was like, bam, that's it right there. We put up this facade of communicating and trying to get our point across, and kids will see right through it. Adults, for some reason, won't, because we look at your experience. We care about your resume. We care about who you work with for some reason. Kids see right through it. Be genuine when you motivate. If motivating is below you, coaching is above you, in my opinion. I'm not telling you to be a cheerleader, but you should be involved in what's going on. Not telling you to encourage them, but you should be constantly communicating with them. Show your weakness. When it comes to younger athletes, no one is more happier when they see that I'm weak. If I'm constantly strong and I'm always right, I'm this, I'll do exercises sometimes and I'll just straight up say, 5 minutes. I'll just straight up say, I don't think this is going to work. I don't know. Let's experiment. Let's see what's going on. And they love it. They trust it. Laugh every day. If I could tell anything to anyone, laugh. Be happy. Laugh with your athletes. I always have a terrible joke in my back pocket. No matter what the population I'm working with, kids, collegiate athletes, Olympic athletes, I'll drop some terrible joke. And even if no one laughs, it's funny. Because they're like, that was terrible. And I'm like, well, whatever. But it automatically got them talking. Laughing breaks down barriers. That's the reason I got my wife, to be quite honest. I mean, what other reason would she want to be with me? I got awesome jokes. Victor Board said laughter is the fastest way between two people. Dependability. Give them someone that they can depend on. In a world full of uncertainty, be the anchor that they know they can always rely on, someone that they can always go to, the backstop of a good catcher. A short backstop will always make a catcher better. A longer backstop always makes a catcher worse, especially in kids. Be a short, close backstop. Be there for them that they know they can fall back on you. When you have mistakes, admit them right away. You never know who's looking up to you. We don't want someone to exacerbate your mistakes. Admit them right away. Be irreplaceable. Whenever I talk to people, athletes, kids, it's my number one thing that I say is be irreplaceable. Whether it's with your family, whether it's with coworkers, friends, always go the extra mile. Always do everything you can to help them. People should ask where you are when you're not there, and people should depend on you. If they're not, you're missing out as a person. You're just taking up oxygen. Make something of yourself. A thing that's kind of become this new fancy thing is this be the hammer thing. That's awesome. When it comes to going out for jobs, being aggressive, as a kid, being aggressive on the playing field, being aggressive, asking that boyfriend, asking that girl out, asking that date for prom, putting in your resume, great. As a coach, be the nail, because 20 years from now, they're not going to remember how much you hammered them, but they're going to remember those life lessons that you instilled in them, those nails that they'll never be able to pull out, that they're just constantly in. After a house is built, what's left over? The nails. The hammers are gone. Hammers are gone. The nails are what last. Outlive your legacy. How many people will attend your funeral? It's quite simple. How many people have you affected in your life? If you were to die right now, how many people would show up to your funeral? Probably 7 for me, but that's okay. Another joke that failed. Awesome. This is a serious question. How many people would attend your funeral? Serious. One of the first books I read this year trying to get back on the pony was Legacy. Literally, the book just changed everything for me. Great quote is, what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but is woven into the lives of others. Be the coach that you needed. It's what it all comes back to. If anyone has any questions, that's pretty good timing. Email me, Twitter, Instagram, anything. I'd love to get to meet anyone, talk to anyone. That's all I got. Cool. Is that it? Just stop.